Welcome to Foundation Focus. I'm Tom Jones with the St. Lucie County Education Foundation, and today we have two very special guests. I'm really privileged to welcome Melanie Wiles, the Chief Operating Officer of the St. Lucie County Boys and Girls Club. Melanie, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really glad you're here. Pete Tesch, the President of the St. Lucie County Economic Development Council. Pete, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm really glad you're both here. This promises to be a great program. I just wanted to mention to everyone that for the last year and a half, the Education Foundation has been working with Pete and with Melanie and also with Will Armstead at the Boys and Girls Club on a program to help our students graduate and graduate work ready. And this has been a countywide topic. Pete at the Economic Development Council has taken the lead on this, and Melanie Wiles, who's been working with our children in school to help them graduate and graduate work ready. So it's been a great joint effort. And so I'd like to just start off and ask Pete if he could just spend a few moments. Pete, first of all, tell us about your background and tell us more about the EDC.
Again, thanks, Tom. It's great to be here. We really appreciate the partnership, the Boys and Girls Club, and also the Education Foundation.
You're welcome.
And
Thank you.
This issue about workforce readiness and talent development is such a high priority. And if you don't mind, if we could just kind of dial back a little bit from an economic perspective, St. Lucie County experienced such a painful time during the Great Recession. Double-digit unemployment, loss of jobs, plant closures, businesses going out, and the like. So part of what we do at the Economic Development Council is try to grow the economy and diversify it. We're all about trying to create quality employment opportunities for the community and the residents. So as we now are experiencing economic prosperity, we see companies relocating and expanding here, new and plentiful job opportunities. Many of our employers in the community are experiencing tightening labor demands. So if we're going to continue to grow and continue to try to create high-wage, high-skilled jobs for our families and our residents, we need to really work on the talent development side in that our employers are saying, we can't find skilled or even unskilled help to go into our places of work. So along with trying to help new and expanding businesses, working with you all in the Economic Development Partnership, trying to work with employers, work with our school system, work with our local governments, and try to help with skills upgrades and getting meaningful employment opportunities our residents is what we're really focusing on.
And the timing is great now because what's happened is that it's back. Okay, people are looking for jobs, and so the school district has had a big effort during the past couple of years of really focusing on literacy and graduation rates, and it's been a big effort. Melanie, at the Boys and Girls Club, you know that graduating our students and keeping them in county and graduating them work ready is really important. So maybe you can speak a little bit about your background and speak a little bit about the programs at the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay. So I actually started with the Boys and Girls Club over 10 years ago, and it's been an amazing journey. So what our premise is we take youth that need us most, so that's 5 years old all the way up to 18, 19 years old. We provide a safe environment, we provide targeted programs, and our outcomes are academic success, good character and citizenship, and that they're leading healthy lifestyles. And a big part of our vision for our youth is that they are on track to graduate high school with a plan for the future. And that's why we were so fortunate to partner with the both of you, because we have a lot of kids. We have thousands of kids that we serve a year, and we have 19 locations. And as Pete said, as we're in this growth mode and we have all of these businesses opening and growing in the area, we realize that there's a lot of opportunity that our youth just don't know exists. And at the same token, they are in school all day and they have their time with the parents, but we understand that after school, when we have them, sometimes till 6, 7 o'clock. It's our job to develop them into young men, young ladies that are ready to enter the workforce, that are ready to enter maybe a college, a trade school. So that's the part that we know we play in that.
That's terrific. Timing is everything. Several years ago when Mr. Gent became our superintendent, he started to shift the school district towards graduating students, and now there's all this great news. The public school system here is now the fifth best school system in the state in terms of graduation rates. Graduation rates are now over 90%, so we're number one certainly on the Treasure Coast. And during that journey, what I noticed was at my foundation, it was always written in our charter that we would mentor, but we never really did that. And when I stepped back and thought about that, I said, that's a great, noble goal, but I didn't have all of the resources. So I was so glad that I reached out to Pete early on, that I reached out to you and to Will, and we started this conversation. And just as you had mentioned, there's so many similarities and so many touch points that just match. Pete, tell us about the workforce readiness program or the skill gap study that you had done, because that really sparked all of this. I was looking at the foundation and wanting to do more in terms of mentoring our students, wanting them to graduate and stay local. That's that economic engine that helps all of us. And I started talking to some of our businesses and some of the sponsors of the foundation, and all of them said, yeah, Tom, it's really great. It's great that we send our kids to college, but what about graduating students work ready? And then you started this conversation a couple of years ago with the community and started talking about the skill gap. And you've been doing this for several years now, so maybe you can just tell the audience about that.
Well, Tom, that was a very accurate description of what we're doing with regard to this skills gap initiative. And part of this is developing a research-based approach to the issue. As we discussed before, and Melanie just elaborated, we're seeing imbalances in the supply and demand for the workforce in lots of different industry sectors: manufacturing, healthcare, the skilled trades, and many others. So it was our wish to partner with the business community to actually do some quantitative analysis of the problem, basically understanding what employers in those industry sectors were experiencing in terms of hiring, job development, and the general human resource aspect of this. So the skills gap initiative and study was completed. We interviewed, surveyed, and had focus groups with over 110 regional employers, and really got a lot of excellent intelligence about what needed to be done in terms of education, technical training, and some of the what is now known as soft skills, some of those qualities and values that are important in terms of work ethic, consistency, and being in the workplace, and those things. So there's a comprehensive study. It's on our website. It's fascinating reading and is the basis for our Workforce Readiness Task Force. And what that amounts to is government, business, and education working together on this important issue of career and technical education, and then linking the world of the classroom with the world of work. So in essence, that's what we're doing. We're a resource broker, we're an advocacy, we're working with you as partners to affect meaningful change and help particularly students, young people, and people of all ages make that connection into the workplace.
One of the things that I noticed when I first came to the school district is that naturally over 50% of our students go into what are called CTE programs, career and technical ed. And somewhere along the way, the whole U.S. lost this focus on CTE. There's a good focus on going to college, and we certainly fund a lot of those programs, and that's important. But a lot of students have an aptitude to maybe just graduate and they have a good skill set, or they want to have a good skill set, and they just want to start working. And that whole program in the United States in general, I think has gotten less focus. But here in St. Lucie County, because half of our students, or more than half, actually go into career and technical ed programs, it's really the perfect opportunity, given our student body, given the things that are happening in the economy and the programs that you're working on. And then we have a resource like the Boys and Girls Club, which is gathering up these students at a vulnerable time and sheltering them, actually, right? You shelter them. And then to inspire them to want to stay in school. And then what I'd like to create, and we're starting this off, and I'll speak to it in a moment, is a program that actually begins to put some structure to mentoring and asking our business community to step in and mentor. And so Melanie and I and Will have been on this journey. And we now have, Melanie, for the first time, one mentor, okay, Fort Pierce Public Utilities Authority has stepped up, and they volunteered to be a mentor. And so, Melanie, there's about 5 students in the Boys and Girls Club that we're going to focus on.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of other students that will eventually go in, but yes, we're trying to do a core group of kids. That might be some interest in their area with the Utilities Authority. And what Tom and I talked about is that there's so many different careers within the Utilities Authority that they're
That's right.
It's
just not working on lines, is it? Mm-hmm. That's a huge opportunity. Go ahead. It's all kinds of skills.
Yeah, and through that, and we kind of talked about the future and other field trips, what we're trying to do is connect the kids with, okay, there's all of these businesses. So number one, we want to make it tangible. So we want them to actually be able to visit the businesses. Number two, those mentors that we're connecting them with, we ask them, share your story. So I can go up and talk to our kids all day long, but if I'm not vulnerable and sharing my own personal journey, if I say I haven't had any challenges, it was so easy, they're not going to be able to open up and take that in. So we ask our mentors to have that mentality, share with them. It wasn't always easy for you. How did you get to where you are within the business? What did it take? What type of certifications did it take? How much time did it take? What is the financial gains at this point? What are the things that you love about it? So we're very excited to walk them through that journey. I can't wait to see what they end up thinking of it.
One of the things that was easy to do at first when we started this is easy talking to businesses, and they raised their hand. They really wanted to help out. And all of our STAR students take a pledge. They take a pledge to be drug-free, crime-free, to stay in school and stay in the mentoring program. And I think we actually had wound up with like over maybe 15 to 20 students who originally had taken this pledge. And the pledge is taken with their parents or guardian. So the student is actually taking a very serious step in trying to further their own career. And it's our hope that this becomes just as cool as sports, that there's an opportunity to be a STAR Scholar, and it's very meaningful. So we started off with 20. I think the number might be more like 15. And we have those that are already, that we know about. And now we have 5 that are going to be going into this program for the first time. And I know the UA is very excited. And you had touched on this. It's just not about being a lineman or a line person. It's really about a vast number of skills that are needed in like in the hospital, the healthcare industry. The medical centers have customer service agents. They have technicians. They have finance people. And so it goes on and on and on. And so I think sometimes both the students and even the general market has a sense, well, that's a very specific skill. You and I met with your members with a bunch of bankers. And I remember Melanie asking the question to all of these young students, who wants to be a banker? Nobody. No one raised their hand. and one of the questions that came from the students was, well, what do you need to be a banker? I'm not a finance expert. I'm not a math major. And when the bankers started talking about the skill sets and the stories that some of these bankers told, that it was like me, I was a former banker, but I didn't major in banking in school. I just had a certain skill set that the bank needed, and the bank trained me. And I think once the students realize that they don't have to have that core skill set to really want to learn about a certain business and a sector, then it opens up for them, because I think they naturally, just kind of go, I can't do that. But I think that conversation that you have with those students, and to open up the world and for them to talk to a business person that has done it, and really, and many of us didn't really, start off our career wanting to do this and that, but we we worked at it and worked at it hard, and we created a core competency, and then it's a great life. And I think that's the light bulb that kind of goes on, and the students start to see that. So I just feel we're just at the cusp of this, which is, I think, going to be very, very exciting. And Pete, I think the work that you've done to help focus us on those sectors, because Pete, why don't you talk about the tour that you had just done with the guidance counselors at the high school? What an eye-opener, right?
No, what a great way to describe it, and it was great to have both of you there for lunch. Tom, we had 43 guidance counselors from area high schools, and they toured 4 or 5 of St. Lucie County's finest manufacturing operations, all the way from Phoenix Metals to Maverick Boat and others. And it was a real eye-opener, as you said, in that guidance counselors, those professionals that are working day-to-day, particularly with our students, about what career opportunities are out there. So it was a very enlightening experience for them to see what types of jobs are available in our manufacturing sector. So while there may be production and assembly and operations type jobs, but as the example that you mentioned in healthcare, there's many other supervisory, professional, and other technical skills that are involved in the business of manufacturing, whether it's metal fabrication or boat assembly, et cetera. So it was a great opportunity to link executives with these companies with our guidance counselors and just seeing what's available. And it was fantastic to see the type of job opportunities that you described earlier that are available here in our community, particularly from a wage and a salary level, and also the ability for career advancement.
We have a number of businesses that have already volunteered to be business mentors. We have a major car dealership. We have a medical center. We have a number of banks that have volunteered. We have the FPUA, of course. And there are others that are looking at this, and the manufacturers are starting to look also. And so what I've done is, just yesterday I went back to the guidance counselors. I touched them a second time, and I asked them, okay, what students do you have in these specific areas? We have mentors that are ready, and we have a need out there. So I'm hoping that we can begin to, rapidly have a slightly larger group of students, not a big group, but we can take those 15 students that the Boys and Girls Club has, and maybe other students that are in the school district that are struggling, and welcome them to the Boys and Girls Club. I just wanted to mention to the audience that the reason the Boys and Girls Club is so important to this is that the Boys and Girls Club for years have been mentors. They've been doing this, and they're experts at it. And so rather than reinvent the wheel, what we do as an organization is we go out and we bring the business mentors in, and then we qualify them, which is not hard to do because they're really, they're good businesses and they're ethical and they're local. And then the heavy work is really done by Melanie, and Melanie works with the students, and she matches those students up. Now, what also happens is there are students that are from outside the Boys and Girls Club, and what we're doing in the school district is that we'll welcome them into the Boys and Girls Club to be members, and then they can be part of the program. So what it does, it not only helps out the Boys and Girls Club, it helps out a wider range of students that are in the high schools that maybe never thought that the Boys and Girls Club was a good resource for them. So it's really a win-win, And the other thing I wanted to mention, too, is that we're very lucky in the county in that we have great colleges and universities. We have Kaiser University, which is a private university, but we have IRSC, Indian River State College, and I know they're great supporters of the EDC. But IRSC is a magnificent institution, and their thumb is on the pulse of what the people need in our county. And Pete, talk a little bit about what IRSC has done in the clock hour area to focus some of their programs on getting a certification to graduate work ready or to be work ready.
Tom, I agree with you wholeheartedly. IRSC is an excellent academic institution. As you know, they were a finalist from the Aspen Institute in
That's right.
2017, third best in the nation. And this is an incredible asset to have in our community. For example, as we're talking about mentorships and immersing young people and students into career opportunities, one that we're all working together that is so fascinating is trying to establish 12 scholarships, working with the Boys and Girls Club and the Education Foundation to identify perhaps maybe 12 students that would like to get a certified production technician certification from, in this case, Indian River State College through the Fast Track Manufacturing Program. So we're working with you all as well as the college to fund those scholarships, find those young people, acquaint them, and let them go through the training and get certified. The end result would be that we would make sure that these individuals that went through the program got their certificate, that they had meaningful employment with a sponsoring manufacturing company or related company in the area. So
That's
if
terrific
you think
news.
about the
Yeah.
mentorship,
Absolutely.
with the good work that you're doing with regard to acquainting the student, the young person, to the world of work and what is involved in this case, this operation, getting the hands-on training about what they would do in day-to-day manufacturing. It could be all the way from looking at blueprints to looking at specific machine and equipment, and then understanding what they may do on a day-to-day basis in an exciting and challenging career in manufacturing. So that's just an example. Obviously, there's others at Indian River State College, particularly in their career and technical education initiatives that work with those existing industries that we talked about, and it's so important for growing the economy.
That's terrific. One of the other parts of the STAR scholarship, a STAR program, is a scholarship. And this program was actually created by the Florida Prepaid Scholarship Foundation. It's actually the sibling or the sibling to Take Stock in Children. And Take Stock in Children has been around for 20 years, and it's a program that's managed by the Indian River State College Foundation. And the way this program operates, it's a mentoring program, but it starts at a much younger age. It starts at the 8th grade, and it goes all the way through high school. And then the Prepaid Foundation has said, there's a number of students that are going through a lot of hurdles, but in the 11th and 12th grade, they're just struggling. And this was when we started talking about the STAR program. So the STAR program really focuses on 11th and 12th graders, but it also has this scholarship component where the Florida Prepaid will match dollar for dollar any scholarship that the Education Foundation purchases. So the Florida Prepaid has a 2-year fully prepaid plan, which we all know about, and a 4-year plan, and a 1-year plan they have. So what we're doing is trying to raise money to bring these funds in. And now there is a restriction, and that's why you have a broader tent. The restriction is our students are public school students, and they're into the STAR program, where your program really wants to help veterans. You want to help individuals that are in the market also looking for a better job. So there's a lot of commonality, and so and Pete has taken the lead in raising money for students, and I want to thank Pete for that. It's really terrific. And so I see these two programs.
Well, we want to match your money.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah,
ours.
for sure. So some of it won't qualify for the match because they're not public students at all, and a portion of it will. But I think if we get enough people working on this problem, and we have civic leaders like the both of you working on it, I just think it's great times are ahead. And I'm really thrilled that that both of you have worked with the school district in terms of graduating students, and. So I just want to thank both of you. Melanie, I just want to just step back to you for a second. You have a program where you have called Youth of the Year.
Youth of the Year,
maybe you
yes.
could tell the audience about that. It's a great program.
It's an awesome program. Pete was actually a judge for us a couple years ago, so he's very familiar with it, and we're in the thick of it right now. We're about to have our judges orientation tomorrow, And what we do is we're basically taking the best of the best as far as Boys and Girls Club members. So there's a teen from each of our clubs, our neighborhood clubs, that is going to represent that unit in the competition. And they have to complete a very robust packet. So they have to write essays about themselves, about their civic engagement, their academics, what they want for America's future. And that gets to turn into our judges to read over. They have to actually do a panel interview, and not really just one. We have quite the gamut during the process of it to teach them how to do a good eye contact, a handshake.
Absolutely. Soft
working
skills,
in those
right?
soft
Yep.
skills. And then the final product is that they rise and give a speech about what the Boys and Girls Club has meant to them. And so yesterday, I actually met with one of our Youth of the Year candidates, and it was really interesting because in my conversation with him, an amazing young man in CTEs, he's telling me about how he's going into the medical field. He wants to be a pediatric nurse, and his journey was just very inspiring because he overcame a lot of obstacles, and he's going to share that. But what made me very excited for him is because I know we've been working with him. I know that he's already met Dr. Massey, and Dr. Massey actually interviewed him on camera, so he had to get over some of his anxieties that way, and that he sat down and wrote these essays that he could potentially use on a college application or to apply for a scholarship, and that he is now going to use his voice to show others in the community what our youth are going through, and really that they're worth a return on investment. They're worth our time to spend with them. And so I can't wait to see where he ends up at, but it was neat because I thought about how he may be one of those ones that goes on and
yes.
where his journey will be and where he'll end up working in this community. So
Melanie, if a person wanted to help the Boys and Girls Club, what is the best way?
So we just ask them, I actually usually just tell people, come take a tour. So they can reach us at 460-9918. They can go on our website, bgcofslc.org, and tour our locations, meet our kids, see what we have to offer. Some people will come in and say, all right, I actually want to help with homework, or that sounds like a really cool program. I'd like to fund that. Or, hey, I just want to come to one of your fundraisers and, bring some of my friends and have a good time. So we have a whole myriad of ways that they can come and help.
Okay, and it starts with a tour, right? I think it's terrific. Pete, if there's a business listening and a business wants to join the EDC, what is the best way to do that?
Tom, youredc.com, 336-6250 is our main number. We would love to talk to any businesses, organizations, or individuals if they're interested in economic development, workforce readiness, and improving the economy.
That's great. Well, thank you to both of you. I'm really glad you're here. And to the audience, if you would like to learn more about the STAR program, please call me, Tom Jones, at the Education Foundation. Okay, and my website is www.efslc.org. And I also just want to mention that as we're in season now with the foundation, so upcoming is on Saturday, February the 10th. Is our Night of the Stars event, and this is an event where the foundation sponsors the recognition of our staff, and it culminates in the Teacher of the Year, but also culminates in the first year teacher programs, as well as the Distinguished Minority Educator of the Year and School Related Employee of the Year. Be a lot of fun coming up. I hope you can both come. You're welcome, and it's a celebration where over 800 people come. We're running out of time, so I just want to thank both of you for being here. I want to thank all of you for listening in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.